into a bureaucrat agency of terrorism. They terrorize Americans.
Today on Politics Now, congressional candidate Michelle Fiore talks BLM, taxes, and of course, guns.
Millennial voters have played an important role in bucking up Bernie Sanders, but they also haven't played as big a role as they really could.
Plus, we break down the millennial vote, how many are voting, and why they are backing Senator Bernie Sanders.
And Governor Brian Sandoval endorses John Kasich, what that means for both of them.
From 8 News Now, this is Politics Now with Steve Sebelius and Patrick Walker.
Republican State Assemblywoman Michelle Fiore hopes to become Republican Congresswoman Michelle Fiore. Thanks for joining us. I'm Patrick Walker.
And I'm Steve Sebelius. Fiore's in a primary race against State Senate Majority Leader Michael Roberson for Joe Hecht's vacated seat. I sat down with her to talk about the issues in that race.
You've called people in Bunkerville and also in Oregon patriots. Do you think they're patriots?
I do.
Why do you say that?
Because they stand up when other people don't. So these are your neighbors that'll actually come to you and help you if they really think that something is wrong. And when you look at this particular situation and the narrative of this story, I hope gets out, and I think it will now that we're prepping for a trial here in Nevada with the Bunkerville incident. What most folks don't know, Steve, is the BLM, and one agent in particular, Daniel P. Love, went to Sheriff Gillespie and said, look, with or without you, I've got it. Gillespie publicly has stated it was a mistake, they shouldn't have been here. Our governor publicly stated how insulting it is to have a First Amendment area. So, I mean, the BLM has definitely overreached. The spotlight was put on Nevada, and it was not, I have to tell you, the BLM, from all of the incidences that I've researched on them, they are nothing more. They've turned into a bureaucrat agency of terrorism. They terrorize Americans.
We don't have a First or Second Amendment right, do we, to point a weapon at a duly authorized law enforcement
officer?
Okay,
so understand.
Job, right?
No, understand. We would never, ever, I would never, ever point my firearm at anyone, including an officer of the law, unless they pointed their firearm at me. Now, once you point your firearm at me, I'm sorry, then it becomes self-defense. So whether you're a stranger, a bad guy, or an officer, and you point your gun at me and you're gonna shoot me, and I have to decide whether it's my life or your life, well, I choose my life.
Speaking of taxes and paying taxes, you had some liens placed on you by the IRS. Are those paid off now? Are you square with the IRS, or is that still an issue?
So this is what I tell people: me and the IRS, they're my spouse. So husband or wife. As long as I'm going to choose to be in business, I'm going to choose to have a partnership with the IRS. Here in America, until we get the IRS, and there's 78,000 pages of code for Americans and businesses and all of us. Most all Americans are partners with the IRS. So and I don't see myself ever not being in business or doing some kind of business. Right now I have a publishing company. So the IRS and I...
You're publishing the Truth in
Politics magazine. Okay. Yes.
Yeah. Is that your only thing? Is that the only thing?
That's what I'm doing right now. Okay. We have a couple of other little things in the basket to come, but I just don't want to keep all my eggs in one basket.
So are those liens paid off, or are you still paying off?
We're still working with the IRS. We are still working with the IRS.
Yeah.
Well, I've shut my company down in November.
Yeah.
So once we've done that, that depletes that particular income. So yeah. We had a plan in place, so the IRS wants to change it, and guess what? Whatever they want to do, we have to comply.
Well, let's talk a little bit about one of your issues that you're most associated with, which are guns.
Okay.
Let me ask about background checks, because there's an initiative on the November ballot that would apply background checks to all gun sales.
Right.
Do you think the gun sales, when you go in to buy a gun now in a gun store, they do a background check, is that legal in your mind?
Yeah, so it's legal because it's law, and we're a nation of laws, right?
Right.
So it's legal because it's law. And as a law-abiding citizen, I obey the law.
You're going to do that.
However, the people that don't obey the law, they're not going to get a background check. They're not going to purchase their guns as you and I do, the legal, lawful way. they're going to steal them from us, and they're not going to get a background check. So, you know, Bloomberg, you know, he can take his dollars and keep them in New York because I don't want him in Nevada. And as I door knock every single solitary day, I tell folks, vote no on that initiative.
Now let's talk about that vote no. So, so if that background check is legal, and if it has shown some effectiveness,
It has not.
It has stopped
It has not.
millions of people from buying a gun in a gun store.
Totally agree to disagree with you, Steve.
Those are FBI statistics.
Yeah, really?
Yeah,
Okay.
really.
Yeah, I just don't buy it.
You don't
because
buy that.
I don't buy it. I don't buy it
So
at
the
all.
FBI is making that up, you think?
Well, you know, the FBI has been having some little issues lately, so I'm just going to say that, again, I would like to know how the FBI plans on vetting the people that aren't going to do the background like you and I do. The people, how are they going to do that? They're not. So whatever pie in the sky they want to sell to Americans, I'm going to sell them. Look, if I'm a bad girl and I'm going to shoot you in the face, I'm going to shoot you in the face. If I'm a law-abiding citizen, then I'm not going to shoot you because, unless, of course, you know, you're attacking me and it's my life versus your life. But however, I'm just not going to do that.
Fiore also said the issue she wants to address the most in Congress is criminal justice reform. You can watch her explain that and why she thinks recreational marijuana will pass in Nevada on LasVegasNow.com. Look for your local election headquarters under sections. Patrick?
All right, Steve, thank you very much. Now it's time to take a look at where the delegate count in the presidential race is standing at this time. An overwhelming win in the state of New York for Donald Trump gives him 89 of the 95 delegates. It's pushing him far out in front of John Kasich and Ted Cruz. You can see 4 of those delegates went to Kasich. 2 of them are undecided. A brokered convention, of course, still a possibility. Trump needs fewer than 400 delegates to secure the nomination. There are 733 still available. Now let's take a look at the Democratic side. Hillary Clinton's big win here in New York propped her up. About 270 pledged delegates ahead of Bernie Sanders. Of course, we're not counting the super delegates. This is a race we'll also be keeping an eye on, Steve.
Thanks, Patrick. Coming next, the youth vote.
Millennial voters are certainly responsible in considerable part for the success Bernie Sanders has enjoyed.
Why are the young people getting behind an old man? We break down the millennial vote and how it compares to years past. Stay with us.
For a limited time, you can get a great deal on this Passat.
Wow, it looks really good.
Volkswagen believes safety is very important, so all 11 models come standard with an intelligent crash response system. 7 stability-enhancing systems. And equipment for 2 child seats.
For those who take safety seriously. Like we do. The Volkswagen Safety in Numbers event is happening now. Hurry in and lease a 2016 Passat S for $189 a month after a $1,250 bonus.
Back in 2008, over 77,000 Nevada homes faced foreclosure, making us the foreclosure capital of America. I was determined to stand up for Nevada.
As Attorney General, Catherine Cortez Masto fought back, praised by Republicans and Democrats. She held banks accountable and helped get $1.9 billion for Nevada homeowners.
I'm Catherine Cortez Masto. I approve this message because I've spent my career solving problems. Isn't that something we need more of in Washington?
Every moment has led up to the final race of this season. Who will be crowned the 2016 Supercross champion? May 7th, find out. Monster Energy Supercross. See Jason Anderson, Eli Tomac, Cole Seeley, Ken Roxon, Trey Kennard, Chad Reed, and Brian Dungy. Plus, Wiener Schnitzel is giving you the chance to win tickets. Enter the Wiener Cross sweepstakes at wienerschnitzel.com today. The Supercross Finals, May 7th at Sandpoint Stadium.
Before the Cadillac ATS-V shook the establishment. Before every angle was carved for competition. Before road ready meant track capable. Before its speed left the segment behind. Before it all, the Cadillac ATS. Daring runs in the family. Get this low mileage lease on this ATS from around $299 per month. Visit your Southern Nevada Cadillac dealer for this attractive offer.
Welcome back to Politics Now.
Well, the millennial generation is growing fast. In the 2012 presidential election, millennials made up 1/4 of the electorate. By the 2020 presidential election, they will account for over 1/3, but scholars say those increasing numbers, they don't necessarily translate to more voters. So let's take a look at the last 3 elections. You can see the trend line is just under 50% as we come up here and draw for millennials, so they are not getting out in force. If this is of percentage of the electorate of registered voters, it's starting to trend downward. When you look at, say, 65 and older voters, that trend line is pretty consistent, right around 70%. So who are these millennials voting for, that smaller percentage that are going out and voting? I asked UNLV professor Michael Green. So one of the big buzzwords we've talked about, obviously, are millennials, and there is a lot of focus on them. So who would they tend to support? And is it unprecedented to see so many out there?
Well, millennial voters are certainly responsible in considerable part for the success Bernie Sanders has enjoyed. He has really appealed to them. The fact is that you're not really seeing more millennial voters. In fact, he's doing about where Obama was, maybe a little worse, maybe a little better in places. Millennials are traditionally the group that votes the least. And we're seeing that. We're seeing that turnout, at least among Democrats, where you tend to look for the millennials in this election, turnout's down substantially from 2008. So millennial voters have played an important role in bucking up Bernie Sanders, but they also haven't played as big a role as they really could.
You look at Ron Paul a couple of election cycles ago, you look at Bernie Sanders today, they are quite different from the millennial. They're not, you wouldn't think that they're really anywhere near it age-wise and otherwise. So why would a millennial support some of these candidates who may be a lot older and less diverse?
Well, I think, first of all, it's more the idea than the candidate. If Bernie Sanders were a 36-year-old saying the same things, or Ron Paul had been of the same age group, or at least closer to millennials, I think they'd like it. I do think it's kind of appealing for a lot of millennials that here are these two, let's face it, they act like cranky old guys, and they have some personality. And a lot of candidates, I think to millennials, seem like they're stamped from the same cookie cutter. So there's some appeal in the personality and in the ideas. There's another part of the appeal, which is that millennials traditionally have not had the depth of interest in the political system, in governance, in politics, that people of a more advanced age might develop. Well, it's appealing then to hear from somebody who wants to come in and change the system they don't like. That's true for a lot of people, obviously, but I think millennials especially.
Well, many are turning out and voting Democrat. I don't think there's any discussion about that, Steve, but what would Republicans have to do to try to win over millennials if that's where they want to go?
You know, it's an interesting question. I think probably the answer is probably just to wait. Because my political science professor in college always used to say, if you give somebody something to conserve, they'll be a conservative. And so these young people are just starting out, don't have a lot of resources, don't have a lot of money. They get a little bit older, they get a little bit money. Maybe you see them say, well, you know what, maybe these taxes are too high, and check out what these Republicans are saying.
Very interesting. Well, coming up, stripping presidential power.
This is the reason why people are so angry.
Our face-off panel takes on efforts to curtail presidential power and how it could affect the status of Gold Butte.
And Governor Sandoval backs a candidate. I'll talk about why he's getting in Kasich's corner.
Jeopardy, weeknights at 6:30, only on 8 News Now.
How would you sum up this car in one word?
Swanky.
Sexy.
Sexy.
Luxurious.
Classy.
Fast. Sporty.
Sharp.
Innovative. Sleek luxury sedan.
Okay, that's more than one word.
This is the all-new 2016 Chevy Malibu.
That's impressive.
Where's the local dealer around here?
Current qualified competitive lessees can get this all-new 2016 Chevy Malibu LT for around $199 a month.
The Race Now on Politics Now is sponsored by NV Energy. We're putting all of our energy into your energy.
3 official Las Vegas Hyundai dealers, 1 official spring sales event, and an offer you don't want to miss. Sign and drive a new 2016 Hyundai Sonata. That's 0 due and signing $199 a month at your official Las Vegas Hyundai dealers. Hyundai of Las Vegas on West Sahara, just west of Rainbow. ABC Hyundai at I-215 and South Rainbow. Or Centennial Hyundai at US 95 and Ann Road. Visit a store near you or go to LasVegasHyundaiDealers.com today.
Voted Best of Las Vegas 3 years in a row, the Great American Foodie Fest returns to Sunset Station April 28th through May 1st, showcasing some of the best foods that have been featured on the Food Network, Cooking Channel, and Travel Channel. Go to GreatAmericanFoodieFest.com for more details.
You're watching Politics Now.
Well, Republicans in the Senate have been on a mission to strip the president's ability to create national monuments. It's part of what's called the Antiquities Act. That's the law that allows the president to create things like the Basin and Range National Monument in central Nevada, as President Obama did last summer. And Democrats and others in Nevada want him to use that power again to extend the same protection to Gold Butte. Republicans want to change the law so any new monument requires congressional approval. Several attempts to pass such a bill have failed, but they're not giving up. Those efforts and other attempts to strip the president's power are the subject of this week's face-off. From the left, former state Democratic Party chairwoman Adriana Martinez, and from the right, KXNT radio host Alan Stock.
Well, let's just talk about making a national monument. Good idea, bad idea?
Oh, it's a great idea. Absolutely. I look what they did with Tule Springs. They found some fossil beds. They feel like it's going to be a national monument. Let's make it a national monument. This is so important. What I've been hearing is that a lot of Republicans want to take the power away from the president with the Antiquities Act in the event that there's oil in these areas. But how horrible is that? I mean, if there were oil, I'm giving an example, in Tule Springs, there are fossil beds. This is a national monument. But before it was a national monument, I can't imagine that the Republicans strip away the power of the president, and this is why it was given to the president, so that he had the power to designate national monuments in areas that needed to be protected. Look what we've done with Red Rock. So all of these places are conservation areas, they're national monuments. This is very important for not only for Nevada, but for our entire country.
I understand them trying, first of all, to strip away some of the power of the presidency, all the way from Richard Nixon to this president right now. You've had, in a sense, of an imperial presidency with various people, not all, with some. This president certainly has carried on the Richard Nixon tradition in that sense. Regarding the Antiquities Act and regarding making the area a national monument, I don't see a problem with it to a degree, but listen, I am also on the side of being able to turn back, you know, what is the federal government control, 85% of the state of Nevada. They don't control anywhere near that in Rhode Island, in Connecticut, in New York, and all the eastern countries, northeastern countries, but the northeastern liberals want to control all the land here, Arizona, you know, and a lot of California as well. Listen, I really think that the federal government should be turning a lot of this land back to the state. Make it a monument if you want for some of the area, but turn the rest back to the state. Let the state develop it, because that's what we do best. Progress, to me, is development and bringing new people in and new ideas and new businesses.
Does it concern you to see maybe Senate Republicans making a move to try to block that, and does it go anywhere? To try to move the powers, essentially.
Oh, absolutely. It's ridiculous. They have no business doing that. That is the role of the president. Look what they're doing with the Supreme Court justice. It's the same thing. They're blocking everything, and it's ridiculous. It's gone. This is the reason why people are so angry, and you see it with the presidential elections. It's this type of shenanigans that's taking place, and there's no room for it. So yes, it's horrible that they're trying to block the president, and just let him get on with business and conduct business the way it's supposed to.
Republicans, by the way, taking a cue from the Democrats like Biden and like some of the others who have said, and Obama, who in the past have said that they want to block Supreme Court nominees. So, you know, I mean, they're just saying we're playing your game. I mean, if in the future we want to change the rules, maybe we'll do it. I don't know. But right now, they're just pointing to the Democrats and what Harry Reid has said and what Biden has said and what Chucky Schumer has said. And they're just saying we're doing the same exact thing. So, and I hope they do. They stand their ground. I hope they do. I don't want to see anyone put on the bench during this presidency.
Okay, but at this point, this is different with this particular case. They want to make sure that the next president appoints the Supreme Court justice.
Correct.
Are you kidding me? So that's taking away the role of the president right now. He's supposed to be the one, not the next president. is that going to be how we're going to work? Now, from now on, it won't be the standing president, but it'll be the following president that gets to select the Supreme Court justice.
Joe Biden said the same thing in 1992, but Joe Biden said the same thing in 1992. You had Harry Reid say the same thing, and it was at 05 or 07. I think it was 05, if I'm not mistaken. You had Barack Obama saying the same thing in 07.
You can watch the rest of Face Off on LasVegasNow.com, including the state of the presidential race after New York and a question of a particular video being used in a Republican congressional primary. Patrick?
Thank you much, Steve. This is The Race Now, where we recap the big political stories of the week. Steve, here's what happened with that video. Republican congressional candidate Annette Tejero sent rival Danny Tarkanian a cease and desist letter demanding he stop using footage in a campaign ad. The ad is an attack on Roberson in that race. The letter claims that Tejero copyrighted the footage, which was posted on one of her pages. And Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton scored decisive wins in the New York primary. Both had subdued victory speeches, but quickly went on the attack the next day.
When I hear Donald Trump and Ted Cruz talk about international issues, I mean, what they say is not only offensive, it's downright dangerous.
We got lying Ted, we have crooked Hillary. I won't go over the others because they're now defeated.
Well, Trump took nearly all of the delegates from New York, and Clinton, for her, it was a break in the momentum for Bernie Sanders. And Nevada Governor Brian Sandoval has endorsed a Republican candidate for president, fellow Governor John Kasich. Sandoval says he and Kasich started out as governors together, and he calls the only candidate in the race who could defeat Hillary Clinton and has plans to deliver results. When asked about it on Fox News about Marco Rubio in the Nevada caucus, Sandoval said that was just a decision he made that day, and he should have endorsed Kasich at the time. All right, so that brings up two questions. Steve, how much does this help Kasich, and is it a primer for vice presidential candidate Brian Sandoval?
Vice President Sandoval, that's got a nice ring to it. Well, you know, Kasich needs all the help he can get. First of all, he's got so few delegates. And this kind of cements Sandoval into that role as the moderate establishment wing of the party, which is not a big surprise. He'd be a great vice presidential choice, although he differs from Kasich on some key issues, most notably abortion, and also don't forget Yucca Mountain. They part ways on that one as well.
Very true. Well, up next, following the money, we'll break down the Congressional District 3 money trail so far in that race.